Hi everybody, Morgana Galaxia here. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm getting on today because, I want to take a look at obviously a few things, but I want to start with Alexei Navalny. You probably heard on the news, they're giving him another 9 years. And yeah, I just want to take a look at his state, if there's any chance that, he might get out of there early. Can he be rescued, or is he just gonna, is he in a really bad place? So anyways, I want to look at Alexei. I also want to look at the head of Russia's Ministry of Defense. His last name is Shoigu, and apparently he's kind of disappeared. He hasn't been seen in public since March 12th, I believe they said. And the thing is, what I read about him was that he's pretty media savvy, and he's generally seen on TV every day. So the fact that he kind of has fallen off the radar is very suspicious. So let's take a look at him. And then, of course, I want to look at Putin, see how he's doing. And depending on the time, I'll try and get to that NATO summit that just finished. So that's what we're going to do today. And let's start off with Alexei Navalny. So Alexei Navalny, sitting in prison. Opposition leader, was really good at organizing protests in Russia, threatened to Putin. And, what was it? He must have escaped at some point because he was overseas. But then, yeah, he voluntarily went back to Russia knowing that they were probably going to arrest him and throw him in jail. And that's what they did as soon as he went through customs, seemed like, right? So Alexei Navalny, how is he doing? How is he doing? So the last video of him that's available was not too long ago when he got his additional 9-year sentence. And, they had a shot of him in court. And he looked very thin, very low, and clearly they're not treating him well. I think he was on a hunger strike, so it could be from the hunger strike. But yeah, very thin, not looking well. All right, Alexei Navalny. Spirit, show us what you can of Alexei. Is there any chance he's going to get out? Who knows? Maybe take over, or I should say maybe, I think Putin's up for election in a couple of years, assuming he lives that long. Maybe Alexei might be an opponent of his during the next Russian election. If Putin is taken out, chances are likely they just install someone from his inner circle to lead the country without holding an election, for an emergency. Who knows what's going to happen, huh? Okay, so Alexei Navalny. Show us what you can. Do a little bit longer reading. Oh, yeah. Oof. Dang it. Okay, so I'm doing a whole Celtic Cross spread here for him, and we're starting right off the question of how's Alexei doing? What's his situation? We're starting right off with the Emperor. So in this case, this is Putin, right? He is in the situation he's in, all because of Putin. Putin's got him in his focus. He is Putin's big enemy. The Emperor has, the Emperor does what an Emperor does, and kind of with that big old hammer, knocked him back, threw him in jail. So basically, the Emperor generally can be a really wonderful card for a leader. There's wisdom there, stability there. But when it is someone like Putin and you're reading the shadow elements of the card, there's tyranny, okay, and abuse of power. So that's what we're seeing, and that is what Navalny is victim of. His challenge is the Page of Cups. I'm sorry, not Ace of Cups. His challenge is the Ace of Cups, which is telling me that, you know, with all the time that he has been in jail now and the time that he's looking forward, you know, looking in the future, facing another 9 years, his morale is really low. This is all about the emotions, and this is his challenge. So very low morale, depression, despair, not seeing an end in sight. You know, he's just probably, you know, this is probably the worst time in his life that he's undergoing right now. He might have thought that when he first landed in jail, but now facing another 9 years, and who knows, more after that and more after that, right? He's as low as you can possibly get there. And it's really so bad that it might be undermining his will to live, his will to fight, his, you know, his interactions with others. He might have given up. So he's just in a really bad place. So what is he inevitably going to have to face? We have the Two of Cups here. So this tells me he is going to have to face Putin again. These two people are bound together in this weird hate relationship. So, you know, the Two of Cups isn't always, well, it's a partnership. So there is a partnership. Oh, how would I say this? So I think with Putin, you know, these two are karmically connected, okay? And this is just something that he's always going to have to face. Another layer that I'm feeling there is he might come face to face with some assistance, you know, a partner of some kind, maybe his wife. He might have to come face to face with a change in their relationship. Maybe it just doesn't last during his term or something. But overall, I'm getting that this is his karmic tie with Putin, and he's going to have to face that again, which does indicate that there's going to be some movement, some changeability in his situation. He's, you know, it indicates that he might not just forever languish in jail, but that in some way he will be coming face to face with Putin again. Foundationally here, we have the Knight of Cups. And I think this is what got Navalny in trouble, right? He was, you know, in a way, he was a soldier, right? Fighting Putin. He was the leader of the opposition against the president. So he was, you know, not maybe one of Putin's soldiers. He's not in the Russian army kind of soldier, but just those activists, you know, those people who come out and they fight the system, the grassroots activism. That is a kind of fighting, a kind of warfare, right? And he was leading that charge, so to speak. So this is kind of what got him in hot water, but this is why Russians loved him. He was able to build that enthusiasm, get people involved, get people's loyalty. You know, he was a hero to so many people fighting the powers that be, right? So this is foundational to this question of how he's doing. It's because of who he is and the role he undertook to lead the opposition. So in his past, we have the Page of Wands. So this, I think, is speaking to the skill he had in getting supporters, organizing rallies, communicating across all of Russia. I guess he, you know, I don't know all that much about him, but I guess he did a lot of documentaries about Russian corruption, about how Putin was corrupt. So this sort of in the communication sphere, that was a strength of his in the past. Moving on into the future, what can he be expecting? We have a Queen of Pentacles showing up for him. So this is really hopeful. This kind of would indicate to me that there might be some person, most likely a woman, with a lot of money or a lot of power, who is going to show up, and assist him, give him, either funding that he needs, help with legal issues, what have you. There is someone coming in to help him with some resources of one kind or another. And so look for a woman to come in and be of assistance to Alexei. So kind of this card is sort of like your inner I don't want to say your karma, sort of your essence, right? The essence of what's inside you. For this reading here, we have the Judgment card. So, you know, the Judgment card. I'm feeling two things here. Obviously, Alexei himself has undergone judgment, right? He's sitting in jail. But what's happened to him is going to lead to the judgment of Putin. So everyone across Russia knows exactly what Putin did to Navalny, that he's languishing in prison, that he's a political prisoner. A lot of people are just sick of it. And, you know, I think that given what's happening in Ukraine, especially as more media starts moving into that country and they start being more informed, they're just going to be putting two and two together. And yeah, the trumpet's calling for Putin. I think even though this is inside of Alexei, I'm reading on Alexei here, he's been subject to judgment, false judgment by Putin, but he is going to be participating in or drawing in or being the trumpet of Putin's judgment. So I think that's part of his karmic story here. So influence of family and friends, those outside of him. We have the Three of Swords. So I think this is just talking to the, you know, just the sorrow that all of those in his sphere, right? His family, his colleagues, those who followed him, who had hopes for him, they're just devastated at his treatment. And then, of course, at the most recent edition of the extra 9 years, they know he's just a political prisoner that Putin is punishing because he's scared of the competition. But, you know, they're probably looking at his low morale and looking at his thin frame and just so worried for him and so heartbroken over the situation. They just want him out so bad. And obviously his friends and family, but this is also, you know, speaking to the broader sphere, Russia, the wider world. You know, everyone's looking at him and just, it hurts to see him be imprisoned for telling the truth, standing up for decency in government, trying to tell people who Putin really is, right? So yes, everyone's heartbroken. Whew, hopes and fears, you guys, hopes and fears. Boom, there's the devil. So obviously he fears Putin. I don't know how much of a hope there is with this devil. So yeah, like I was saying, he's in such a low place emotionally. There's probably not a lot of hope left in him. He's probably assuming he's going to spend a lifetime in jail because of Putin, the devil, the evil one, the corrupt one, the cruel one, the one who has no ethics, morality, compassion of any kind. It's all about power, greed, and control, right? And for an outcome card for Navalny, we have the Ten of Swords. So this is an utter downfall, right? Being stabbed in the back. Yeah, you're gone, you're done, you're toast. So for an outcome card for Mr. Navalny, this isn't looking good. For the foreseeable future, he's out for the count, you guys. This is either his utter downfall. We really aren't going to see him again. He really will spend the rest of his life in jail. Or at least he will for the foreseeable future. Okay, so that's really unfortunate. Okay, so who are we moving on to? We're moving on to the head of the Ministry of Defense. Is that the Minister of Defense? I guess that would be his title. Shoigu, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. But Mr. Media Savvy on TV every day, head of the Ministry of Defense, has gone missing. He's gone missing. Nobody has seen him. Nobody has seen him. Ooh, I know. Let me write. If I have a moment, I'm writing down Clarence Thomas, because what's going on with that guy, right? Okay, but let's focus here on the Ministry of Defense. Shoigu with Shoigu. Disappeared. Where is he? So what I'm seeing, just closing my eyes, I'm seeing he's behind bars. Let's take a look what the cards have to say. All right. What is going on with this guy? Okay. Okie dokie. So we're starting off here with the Empress, okay, as how he's presenting. So this will kind of tell me, you know, this guy was living large, right? He is the head of the Ministry of Defense in Putin's inner circle, undoubtedly super duper wealthy. You know, he was, like I was saying, media savvy on TV all the time, right? So he's probably had, should I say? So, you know, he's kind of a confident mover and shaker, right? He liked to be in the sphere, liked to be on TV, liked that sort of attention. Yeah, this guy was affluent, had it all. He had a good life, you know, as far as you can have in that kind of situation. Money, power, on TV, you know, living the good life. His challenge is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. So, yeah, I'm going to say, to me, this seems like he was apprehended. Someone in authority, a knight, right? So, in you know, translating that into Putin and Russia's inner circle with all these generals and, you know, I'm thinking either someone in the security forces, someone in the military, someone under Putin that Putin directs. I feel like, yeah, I think he might have been apprehended. That volcano in the background. There was an explosion of some kind. So I'm feeling that maybe Mr. Shoigu was, you know, undermining Putin, of, you know, maybe doing something Putin didn't like. Obviously, it could have been related to Russia's performance in Ukraine and how abysmal they're performing and the death toll and the whole thing, right? So, yeah, they came in. That's his challenge. I think they came and apprehended him. And what is in the sky? So what is he going to have to be facing? He's facing uncertainty. This moon, it's like under the cloak of darkness. There's secrets, there's uncertainty, there's maybe even some lunacy involved there. He doesn't know what the future's going to bring. And it also indicates he's also wallowing in some of those deeper, darker emotions, you know, waiting in the darkness kind of thing. But yeah, I think whatever happened to him, they want to keep it a secret. And that's going to be difficult for him because if nobody knows what happened to him, nobody knows where he is, nobody knows why, it's going to be very difficult for him to come out of his situation. So yeah, I think they kind of spirited him away, and they're not going to make any announcements. They're not going to explain it. It's just going to be kept on the down low. Okay. So foundationally, what is, you know, at the base of this reading here, what is that? The Six of Pentacles. So maybe Mr. Shoigu was fiddling around with the money. Maybe, you know, this is the Ministry of Defense here. He is responsible for the financials of the Defense Department that they have, right? So maybe he was skimming money. Maybe that's why the military isn't in the shape that Putin expected him to be in. Maybe that's why they don't have the materials and weaponry that Putin was expecting them to have. He doesn't have that modern military and well-trained troops and all those things that he thought, because maybe the money for that was funneled, misappropriated, skimmed off the top. There's definitely a little shady business with the money happening here, and this is what's foundational to this question. So in Shoigu's past, we have the Three of Wands. Looking overseas, so this definitely points to, obviously Russia's war in Ukraine. It's not overseas, but it is a distant land, right? It's another country. So, but, I'm also thinking maybe Shoigu was considering defecting. Maybe he knew that the heat was getting turned up under him, and he was making ready to go, making ready to skedaddle. He might have been trying to leave, huh? And in his future, what's he going to be looking forward to? Another utter downfall. Same card as Navalny. So, I don't think things are looking good for him. Just to summarize again, what this reading is telling me is that he was apprehended by an authority. He had it all. He had it all, wealth, fame, power, but he got arrested, probably for, misappropriation of funds here regarding the military in Ukraine. He might have been trying to jet while he had the chance, but they snagged him, and now it's a big old secret where he is. Nobody knows, but we either are not going to see him again, or he's going to turn up dead somewhere or in prison somewhere. His life is over as he knows it. Boy, Putin really knows how to serve the dishes cold, doesn't he? Okay, so that was that guy. Let's move on and do a quick look at how Putin's doing. Putin. So everyone's making fun of, how he's looking now. Oh, he looks sick. Oh, he might be on steroids. Oh, he just looks terrible. If you go and look at an old picture of Putin, I mean like years ago, he looks like a completely different person. Face, lips, eyes, all of it. So different. It is clear that he is getting, fillers, Botox, maybe some plastic surgery. It even looks like he might have had his lips reduced. The whole face, the shape of his face is different. The size of his eyes and relative to his face, his lips, everything's different. I really had to figure out, I was almost like, oh, is this a friggin' another person? But you can see in the eyes, not just the dead look in his eyes that he always has, but you can tell if you look at the details of his eyes that it is him. So different. I was like, well, if he's really that vain, that will go a long way towards explaining all those shirtless pictures on horses and rowing boats and, all this kind of stuff, right? Trying to be attractive, I guess, a manly man. Okay, so Putin, how's he doing? All the readings I see of other people just shows that he's frantic, right? Just frantic at his wit's end. He doesn't know what to do. Putin, how is he doing right now? Vladimir Putin, how is he doing? How's he feeling? How's his health? How's he doing? Okay. All right. Let's take a look. Okay. Well, he's presenting here as the Four of Cups. He's had this card before in another reading of mine. He doesn't like his choices, right? He's stuck. He really backed himself into a corner. He doesn't really have a path in front of him. He doesn't really know what his next step is going to be. He doesn't know what the hell is going on. He doesn't like any of his choices. And the last time I had this card for him, after I was done with the video, I was thinking about this card. And I was like, you know, I wonder if this is the assassination attempt with the poison. Someone I'm handing him that chalice here. So I'm getting this card again. So I'm definitely thinking that, you know, someone might be trying to off him with some poison. That could be something that's happening, but more generally, this is telling us he's backed in a corner. He doesn't have any good options. He doesn't know what to do. He's kind of stuck. His challenge, interesting, is a Page of Swords. So what this card is telling us as his challenge is that his military is underperforming. You know, he expected a bunch of knights, warriors, and he got a bunch of juveniles. Have you seen videos of those Russian conscripts? They barely look 18 years old. I mean, honestly, you know, obviously, you know, I'm with Ukraine here, but looking at those boys, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, conscripted into the Russian army, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're immature and their fighting skills are low level, and that's what this card is saying here. So this is the underperformance of the Russian military. They're not skilled. They're too young. They're not inexperienced. And that is his challenge as he sees it. Okay, as he sees it. And, you know, what's above him? So what is he going to have to come face to face with? So Four of Pentacles. This is his worrying about money, okay? So the sanctions, right? He is concerned with the money element. He is going to have to kind of hunker down on what he has, really watch his expenditures, make sure he's spending his money wisely, and just being really conservative in how he spends, because he's insecure, very insecure about his financial resources here. Underneath, what is foundational to this question, we have the Page of Cups. So for the Page of Cups, you know, the most that I'm kind of feeling out of this with the Page of Cups is what's foundational to this question, I think, is this nascent sense of democracy. Like, this is one of the things that people are talking about. Like, why is he invading Ukraine? They're not a threat to him, right? They're not a nuclear power. Their military is, you know, very small compared to Russia. Why? Well, one of the best reasons I've heard is that the freedoms that Ukrainians enjoy is threatening to him, because when Russians look at Ukraine, they're like, hey, how come they get to be free? How come they get free elections? How come they get an open media? How come they can follow their dreams and do whatever they want, right? They don't live in that authoritarian regime like Russia does. They were a young democracy, only 30 years old, right? But the people there were enjoying their freedom. They were building their own culture. They were doing all these wonderful things. It's that cup. It's of the heart, right? It's that culture. It's the love of their country, the love of their culture. They were flourishing, and they were young, an immature democracy, but they were flourishing. And that is what's foundational to this question. So I think that is indeed a big part of why Russia wanted to stomp out Ukraine, because he could not allow Russians to look at them and start to wonder, like, hey, when are we going to get some of those freedoms? You know, we're a great country. We have a great history. We're proud peoples. We want some of those freedoms, right? Can't be having that. So in Putin's past, we have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords. So this is, you know, trying to sort of take what you can, make an escape, sail onto smoother waters here. In his past. So I certainly don't think Putin ever intended to leave Russia. You know, that is his identity. But this, again, this might be, you know, talking about the same thing. In the past, these are people trying to get out of Russia, leaving Russia. They're taking what they can and getting the hell out for smoother waters, for a freer country, for a better life. I think, again, this is talking about, you know, under Putin's regime in Russia, people aren't happy. People aren't free. They want to leave. They want to get out. They seek to go elsewhere. And so, but that's in the past. You know, another feeling I'm getting, another lesser level feeling I'm getting with this is that sort of sneaky way that he stationed the troops around Ukraine. You know, I'm not doing anything. Don't look over here. Nothing to see over here. We're just practicing. These are just drills, right? Moving those people in place around Ukraine, transporting those troops. The swords is often, you know, reflective of warfare, transporting those troops. So I think that also is a facet of this card. And moving into the future for Putin, interesting, we have the High Priestess. So this the High Priestess is a secret keeper. She's a wisdom holder. She has all the occult knowledge. And it's for the High Priestess to determine who gets to know what, who's worthy of certain kinds of information, who's not worthy of certain kinds of information. So she's a gatekeeper of knowledge. So I think this is pointing to, in the future, Putin is going to maybe have some trouble with his closed media and propaganda system. He's the grand gatekeeper of information in Russia. And the fact that this is moving into his future position indicates that he's going to be having to deal with that, which tells me that outside information is going to start moving into Russia. They're going to start finding out what's happening in Ukraine, seeing those pictures, right? Hearing the stories, seeing the videos, where his hold on the information might crack. Let's do one clarifier. Yeah, I think that they're gonna, I just pulled, you know, what is this, the Two of Wands, so two paths. So yes, that's what I'm gonna say. I think that coming up for Putin, the next kind of thing he's gonna have to deal with is that all those things you're trying to keep secret from the Russian people are gonna start kind of coming loose. They're gonna start getting alternate forms of media. They're gonna start learning his secrets. He's not going to be able to control who gets what information. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting there for Putin. So we'll leave that there. And I am at time, you guys. So I'm going to have to come back in a couple days to do the NATO summit. And I also want to come back soon because I want to look at Clarence Thomas. He's another one who's disappeared, right? And the Supreme Court is not saying boo about where Clarence Thomas is. So let's see what's going on with him. So join me in a couple days, okay? I mean, until then, go ahead and like and subscribe if you'd like to. And I'll see you in a few days. All right, bye, everybody.